Welcome to the Farmish Kind of Life podcast, where we talk about homesteading stuff and life stuff and everything in between. Join me, Amy Dingman, as we explore big questions on a little farm. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Farmish Kind of Life podcast. I am your pal, Amy Dingman, and I'm so glad that you are back today to hang out here on the front porch, where we talk about life just like two pals. Just like two pals would do if we didn't live miles and miles apart from each other. I've got some coffee here. I've got some tea if you'd prefer that. And there's a carrot pie in the oven, so we'll probably get to that soon, I suppose. Since we are hanging out on the front porch right now, what can I tell you about? I could tell you that we have rabbit babies. We had rabbit babies a few days ago, 8 little babies. One died almost immediately, and so we're down to 7. They're adorable. Baby rabbits are the most adorable thing, and it's just so exciting when it happens. So I had to apologize to the mom, though, because we were so warm here in Minnesota. It was in the 90s. Why is it in the 90s in the beginning of October? Like, Texas, take your weather back. I don't ever want it to be 90, but especially not in October. So I had bred the rabbits, and then, she kindled or, gave birth to the bunnies. And yeah, it was real warm. And so I had to apologize to her because rabbits do not like it when it's warm. Not at all. Not at all. What else? I went out to the chicken coop and the duck coop. They share a big area now. And I walked out there and I could hear peeping, and I thought, what the heck is that? There shouldn't be any peeping in there. And I looked inside, and there's 2 random ducklings just walking around the coop. And I'm like, what is going on? And there had been a nest that one of the Muscovies had, but every time I went out there, she wasn't sitting on it. Like, I never caught her sitting on it, so I just assumed, okay, that's a nest. It's been abandoned, whatever. I'll clean it up at some point, and just hadn't got to it. And all of a sudden, she's hatching babies out of it. And these 2 little ducklings had wandered away from the nest, and I'm like, what is going on here? There's just chaos, you guys. There's chaos. We got baby bunnies, rabbit kits. We got ducklings happening. It's just, I had 2 stray cats dumped in one of my back sheds. There's just a lot going on here. A lot of crazy stuff happening on the homestead right now. What else can I tell you? If we were sitting on the front porch right now, I would tell you about ear surgeries and my oldest son and how you can have an ear surgery and you can come home and everything's relatively okay for, having an ear surgery and having your ear messed with. And then 3 days later or something, you can end up in the ER with complications. And not only do you go to the ER, but you get admitted to the hospital for like 3 days or 4 days or whatever it was. You guys, there's chaos going on here. Who is making this all happen? Take it back. Take it back. We all just need to calm down and just, yeah. So I don't really know what's going on with my son's ear. Lots of stuff got messed up. Rare complication, I guess, is what happened, but we're still trying to get back to the doctor to figure out what is going on, what happened, what the prognosis is from here. He cannot drive. He cannot even stand upright. His vertigo is really, really bad. He is back home, but his vertigo is really, really bad. So he is a 22-year-old male walking around my house with a walker. So, you guys, what is happening? All right. So what else? Hanging out on the front porch. What are we talking about? I'm gonna tell you something I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about comfort food, and I've been thinking about it for a few weeks. Ironically, it started because I was noticing something that was a little bit weird or a little bit ironic. I was thinking about how we call bread and mashed potatoes and stuff like that. We call it comfort food, right? That's really comforting to us. That's the stuff that we want when the world feels really heavy. I want some bread and some mashed potatoes and all that. But here's what I was thinking about. Bread and potatoes were never really meant to comfort, per se. They were really meant to fill. Okay, like back in the day, bread and potatoes and all that, they were like the cheap and reliable calories that you used to survive while you were waiting for the good stuff, like the meat and stuff like that, right? The bread and the potatoes were just kind of the filler. 100 years ago, bread was not a treat. It was fuel. And mashed potatoes weren't like this bowl of coziness. They were bulk. They were like the filler. Right? Do you get what I'm saying? But nowadays, the fillers are the good stuff. And what I mean by that is most people don't say, oh my gosh, I'm really stressed. I need a steak and a broccoli and some blueberries, right? That's not what they say. They say, I need carbs. I need carbs. I need sugar. I need bread. I need something fattening. I need, I want all those carbs and that good stuff, right? Now, I'm not here to talk about diets. That's not what this is about. What actually brought this up was me kind of going down a rabbit trail and wondering whether comfort food and like the whole concept of comfort food has changed during history. Was someone in 1875 pining for the comfort food of 1792? When they got all like reminiscent about things and nostalgic, and be like, oh, I would love the comfort food that my great-great-grandmother made, back in 1792, And like, what was the comfort food of 1792? Like, what was it? Just not starving? I got thinking about that. And I went down a little rabbit trail, and I was thinking about how it's our modern abundance that we have now that lets us romanticize simplicity and scarcity. We love bread, right? We think bread is quaint. Fresh baked bread is quaint. And they thought, hey, here's something that'll fill us up. Like when you eat the bread at the fancy restaurant, they bring the bread to the table and you fill up on the bread, then you don't have room for the other stuff. So like, don't eat the bread because it fills you up. Like that's what bread is. It's a filler. It fills you up. We think bread is like quaint. They were like, oh, this is a thing that's going to fill us up. Or maybe, here's the other thing. Maybe comfort food is less about what's on the plate and more about the memory that goes with it. Maybe that's part of it too. You eat a certain food and there's a memory that goes with it, and that is comforting. And I sometimes wonder, what will comfort food look like in the future? When folks who are grandparents now, they're not cooking stew or they're not baking bread, they're not making pies. Like, food is different now. So what will people look back on this time and think of as comfort food? Like, what will my great-great-grandchildren be thinking of as comfort food? And here I keep talking about grandmas. Like, I did have a grandma who baked and cooked a lot of stuff from scratch. She died when I was 7. And so I didn't really know her, but I know that she baked bread and, she had an amazing kitchen, right? The grandma that I spent most of my time with, who is still with us, who I refer to as Grandma Who, she's in her mid-80s, and spend a lot of time with her. And I remember going to her house when I was little. I mean, like 5, 6, 7. And I thought I was so cool because I could go into a drawer in her kitchen and I could grab a slice of white bread, store-bought white bread. And then I'd go to the fridge and I'd grab a slice of like Kraft cheese singles, right? And then I would put that piece of cheese on that piece of bread and make this open face sandwich. And I would put it in the microwave for however many seconds, like 10 seconds, I don't even remember. And that was my snack when I would go to her house. Like a microwaved open face cheese sandwich. And thinking about that, like if I was to eat that right now, I'd be like, oh, that reminds me of my grandma. That reminds me of being little. Like how weird is that? That's not from scratch. That's not like a bowl of stew. So maybe it's more the memory that goes with it and less about here's this bowl of mashed potatoes or this turkey dinner or whatever it's going to be. What else about comfort food? Here's the other thing I was thinking about. Comfort food, traditional comfort food, it's almost always something that comes in a big pan or a big pot. Nobody makes a single serving of mashed potatoes, usually. Nobody bakes just one dinner roll, right? It's a whole pan or it's a whole pot or it's a whole dish. And maybe that goes along with why it's comforting, because it's a big vat of something that's meant to be shared. Comfort food, it shows up on on long tables. So like in church basements or at funerals or at holidays. It's this food that's ladled out or scooped out or lifted out and passed around. And maybe the comfort isn't just in the food, but it's in the fact that you didn't have to eat it alone. You were with a group of people. You were sharing this event together or this time together, and you're with other people eating whatever this thing is. I also think that comfort food, it almost has its own language, because how many times has someone said to you, or how many times have you said to someone else, I made you soup? Maybe you were sick and they brought you soup, or I baked you your favorite cookies when life was rough. Food is how we say things like, I love you, or I see you, I notice you, or I don't even know what else to do, but here's a hot dish, right? That's what we do in Minnesota. Here's a hot dish. I don't know what else to do or say, so here's some food. And maybe that's why certain foods carry so much weight. It's not the carbs, it's not the sugar, it's not the fat, it's the message that came with it. It's almost like comfort food is some kind of shorthand for comfort itself. And I was also thinking about this whole food thing, because when we were leaving the hospital, we had taken my son to the ER because he couldn't keep anything down, severely dehydrated. There's just all this stuff going on. And so we took him to the ER thinking he was going to get just a bag of fluids, right? And then he actually ended up being admitted and staying for a few days. But so when we took him to the hospital, we hadn't eaten or drank anything, and we were tired, and then we had to drive home and do chores and like all this stuff. And my husband said, we got to grab something to eat. What do you want to do? And the first place that we came to on the way out of the hospital was McDonald's. And that's where we went. We went through the drive-thru. We got McDonald's. And I didn't even care. Because I just needed food. And normally I would say that McDonald's isn't even food, right? But I didn't care. I just needed something in my body. And in the last week, in trying to figure out what's going on with my son and taking him back and forth and all of that, I have mostly eaten pizza and fast food, and I don't care. I am a farmish kind of girl, and I love the kitchen, and I have a ton of stuff in my freezer and on my shelves, and when push comes to shove, I didn't even want to take 15 minutes to make any of it when I got home, because I was tired and I was stressed and I was hungry and I didn't know what was going on and I was thirsty and I still had stuff to do. And you know what? The first fast food restaurant we came to that was still open is where we got our drive-through supper. And oddly enough, maybe in a roundabout way, that's just going back to the beginning of what we started talking about on the front porch today, is that sometimes you just need a little something to fill you up, and sometimes that is the comfort. And as long as we're talking about food, and we're sitting on the front porch, and sometimes we go on random side note trails, I guess I would bring up something else, that there is no part of me that thinks for 1 second that fast food meals or gas station offerings are good for you or in any way should be your normal diet. And it's super unfortunate if that's your reality, because that is a reality for some people. But I also think we have to be really careful about how snobby and elitist and check mark in the right box we get about food. Because I was thinking about this the other day. Remember how we were told years ago that salads were the way to go? Like, you just need to eat a bunch of salads. Salads are so healthy for you. That's what we need to do, right? Eat all the salads. And I remember eating all the salads. I was just like a little rabbit, right? And then we found out years later that most of the salad dressings we were putting on our salads were actually pretty terrible for us. They're full of sugar and they're made with soybean oil and all this other stuff, right? Eat all the salads. Put some dressing on it. It'd be great. Eat your vegetables. It's all good. That's what they told us. And then years later, they're like, so about those salad dressings. And then, do you remember not as many years ago, people started talking about how we need to use olive oil. Olive oil is a thing we need to use, okay? Don't use vegetable oil. Don't use any of that other stuff. Use olive oil. So everyone started using olive oil. But then we found out that a lot of the olive oil that you're buying in the store isn't actually olive oil. It's a blend that might have some olive oil in it. Real olive oil is actually really expensive. Do you remember those? Do you remember when those things happened? Like they tell you one thing, you got to eat this way. And then years later, they're like, oh, so here's the thing. I remember that. I'm trying really, really hard right now to not say, and Pepperidge Farm remembers that. But that's why I think we have to be really careful with becoming elitist about quote unquote truth regarding diet and the right way to eat and the sanctity or the I don't know what the right word is, but the whatever of what we're eating. You know, I bought this olive oil at the store and it's olive oil because it says it's olive oil. No, it might not be. Might not be. So those are my thoughts today. I'm really glad to be back home to somewhat normal, where I can make a carrot pie or a meatloaf or some bacon and eggs. And if we were sitting here on the front porch, I would share any one of those things with you. And next time you come over, maybe we will walk out to the little barn and we'll check on those new baby bunnies and we'll check to see if there are any more random ducklings running around the coop suddenly. If you've got any thoughts today from our conversation, I would love to hear them. Since you're not actually here on the front porch with me, you can drop me a line at amy@afarmishkindoflife.com, or you can find me on social media. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today on the Farmish Front Porch. I just love chatting with you. I will talk to you again soon. Hope you enjoyed the show today. To continue the conversation, visit our website at afarmishkindoflife.com. Find A Farmish Kind of Life on social media or drop me an email at amy@afarmishkindoflife.com. Peace, love, and bacon, y'all. Stay farmish.